Good evening, everyone. I'm here to tackle or to talk about the history of basketball. So, when and where was basketball invented? So, it was winter in 1891 to 1892 inside a gymnasium at Springfield College, then known as the International YMCA Training School, that is located at Springfield, Massachusetts. So it was winter that time, and the students were required to participate in indoor activities to burn off the energy that had been building up since their football season had ended. So the gymnasium class offered a lot of activities such as marching, calisthenics, and apparatus work. But these were just pale substitutes for the more exciting games like football and lacrosse that they had played during the warmer seasons. So, in the picture is Dr. James Naismith. So, he is the one who invented basketball. He had spent 2 weeks searching for an indoor athletic activity to occupy his PE class during the winter seasons. Naismith tried indoor adaptations of soccer, lacrosse, and football, but each only led to people getting injured. Disappointed that he couldn't find an indoor sport, so he decided to invent it. Here in the picture is Luther Halsey Gulick. So he is Naismith's supervisor and the College of Springfield College first physical education director. He is the one who challenged Naismith to invent a new indoor game for the school's students to play during the long New England winter. So, for the game, it must be easy to assimilate yet complex enough to be interesting. It should also be playable indoors or in any kind of ground by a large number of players all at once. Then next is that it should provide plenty of exercise yet without the roughness of football, soccer, and rugby, since those would only threaten bruises and broken bones if played in a confined space. Now that we're done with when and where, let us now proceed with how was basketball invented. So, it started when Naismith approached the school janitor hoping that he could find two 18-inch square boxes to use as goals. The janitor then came back with two pitch baskets instead. Then Naismith nailed them to the lower rail of the gymnasium balcony, one at each end, so tagsa every end. Then it happened that the height of the lower balcony rail is 10 feet. So, is 10 feet. Then a man was stationed at each end of the balcony to pick the ball from the basket and put it back into the play. It wasn't until a few years later that the bottoms of the pitch baskets were cut to let the ball fall off. Much time and thought went into this new creation. It became an adaptation of many games of its time, so it adapted the passing from American rugby. Then, ni-adapt siya sa jump ball sa English rugby. Then, sa lacrosse, kay ni-adapt siya sa use of goal. Then, sa soccer, kay iyang gi-adapt ang shape ug size sa bola. Then, most people kana believe nga this game kay mao ni inspire sa kanang the way you shoot a ball sa basketball kay kaning duck on a rock kay mao ni siya ang dula nga kanang Naismith used to play during his childhood. So, kani siya nga duck on a rock kay game ni siya wherein nay isa ka stone which is called the duck. Then ipatong siya sa isa ka bigger stone. Then naay magagwardya ani niya. Then katong uban nga players kay kinahanglan nga 15 feet away sila from the stone. Then ilahang goal is to knock it off. So like for you to do such kay kinahanglan nga palobo ang imo nga pagbato sa bola aron nga ma-knock off nimo ang stone or the duck. So sa original jud na game nga rules nga set ni Naismith kay it only had 13 rules with no dribbling. So ang nasa main rule ato kay dapat ang player kadili niya idagan ang bola. So kung imo man kung naa nimo ang bola diretso nimo shoot, dili nimo siya pwede idagan. Then there is also no 3-point line. Then ari pud sa rules niya kay wa niya gi-specify if how many players will be there in the court. Then Naismith's secretary typed up the rules and tacked them on the bulletin board, but eventually, on the same year, dribbling became a legal move. By January 1892, the gym class under Naismith met. So, kato nga, young students kaya nag-meet sila. So, this time, kailangan ng itudluan ni Naismith yung students sa iyang na-invent na game. So, there are 2 teams that were chosen. Na tulo ka center, tulo ka forward, ninapoy 3 guards per side. Then, 2 of the centers they met at the mid-court. So, like, kato yung jump ball na part. So, like, nag-meet ang duha ka center, then na-address sa center si Naismith, then ihang toss ang ball, then jump ball. So, that is when the basketball was born. So that was the first basketball game ever. So it took quite a while, but a point was eventually scored. And the basketball's first ever game concluded with an epic final score of 1-0. So here is a fun fact. So when James Naismith first invented this game, one of his students said that you should probably name this game as Naismith Ball since you're the one who invented it, so you must name it after you. But he did not agree that was a great idea, so he decided that he will listen a bit more to his students and see what he had in mind. And a student said, well, since we play with basket and there's a ball, so we should call it basketball. So, mo na siya nga basketball ang name. Over the next 20 years, Naismith made few adjustments to the game. He even played some different set of balls, and he also realized that it would be tough to keep playing the game constantly with having just a ball go into the basket and ever come through the hoop. So, naka-realize na siya nga time nga hustle kayo nga kanang i-shot sa ball, kwaon, nga ibalik tapos sa dula. So, hustle, naka-realize siya nga kung unsa ka hustle if ingon ana. So, mao na to siya nga iyahang bangagan ang bottom sa basket. So, ang originally, para sa akong gingon ganing someone had to climb a ladder each time to get the ball out. Later, he also added a backboard and a metal ring to enhance the game. Then, because Naismith's students enjoyed the game so much, they started going to other YMCAs and spreading the word of the game, teaching all the skills and the rules of the game. So, dira na nag-start og spread ang invention ni Naismith, which is the basketball. In 1895, the number of players per team was occasionally set at 5 by mutual consent. The rules stipulated 5 players 2 years later, and this number has remained ever since. So to mention before this year kay mag-change ang numbers of players based sa ilaha nga space, like sa ilaha nga court na uban 5, na uban nga 9. Kay ang ilaha nga bali lugar gani wherein magdula sila basketball kay like ato pa sa ballroom hall or kanang sa bowling. Then on the same year pod, the popularity of basketball spread and became an established sport that was played through numerous high schools and college universities. So like, ang pag-spread sa basketball, ang pagsikat sa basketball ka like, real quick. Dali ra ka siya nga ni sikat. So, by 1898, the first college team actually had a basketball team, and that was, then by 1901, college had a regular schedule of games. So like, na part na sa universities ang game na basketball. Then, by 1903, it was ruled that all boundary lines must be straight. Then, by 1905, President Theodore Roosevelt wanted sport to be cancelled due to the injuries players were having in football because he felt that it wasn't safe enough, and so the college pushed back and said no. Then mao to nga ingon si president nga if gusto ganin nila nga dili ma-cancel, then you need to have a committee come up with a way to make the game safer. And so they did. Mao ni siya nga nag-create sila committee which is now known as the NCAA committee. So the NCAA started organizing more sports due to what president wanted done. So they make sports safer. Because of this, they have put a little more organizations behind basketball, which led to many different colleges having basketball at their school, and the NCAA complied enough teams, and they had their first NCAA championship in 1939. In 1907, Naismith retired from coaching. He was 55 wins and 60 losses for his career, and is ironically the only coach with a losing record at Kansas. So like, kani si Naismith kay dili na siya sporty. Eventually, ang iha nga course or ang iha nga major or kuan kanang theology gani like nako na research nga kani si Naismith kay ang iha nga sole purpose that he invented this game kay to provide service. Dili siya nga gusto gud niya nga kuan gani kanang to make money. So like ang iya lang kay ma-enjoy ang mga bata, then siya. So while the sport was growing in the 1910s to the 1920s in the US, it was also growing internationally. So the countries that caught on were 8 countries like Argentina, Czechoslovakia, Greece, Latvia, Italy, Portugal, Romania, and Switzerland. So these countries formed the what we know right now as FIBA. So FIBA had organized the FIBA Basketball World Cup since 1950 and the FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup since 1953. Both events are now held every 4 years, alternating with the Olympics. So, by 1936, basketball officially became an Olympic sport with the gold medal played outside in raining conditions. And during the Summer Olympic Games in Berlin, FIBA named James Naismith, the founder of basketball, as its honorary president. And by the year 1937, Professional Basketball Association established the NBL, or the National Basketball League, which became the first official pro basketball league. And in the NBL, the home team got to choose if they wanted 4-minute quarters or 3 15-minute quarters. And by 1939, NCAA held their first official basketball tournament. And by the year 1945, Walter Brown established the Basketball Association of America. he had a brilliant idea of using the hockey arena as a place to hold them, so there were no longer small venues used for such a growing game. So back then, the courts often were of a regular shape with occasional obstructions such as pillars, stairways, and offices that interferes with the play. So, kanay si Walter Brown nga founder sa Basketball Association of America kay like na siya iyaha gani nga hockey arena. So mao ni siya nga ang BAA kay like murag mas ni kuan sila sa NBL kay murag mas ni angat sila sa NBL kay like mag-host sila og kanang basketball game sa hockey arena, which is owned one of the hockey arenas nga gi-own ni kaning Walter Brown. So so kad na pud ani ka like na di ba since nagplay na sila sa hockey arena, naka-realize sila nga di ba sa lain countries naman sa mga hockey arenas nga waray gamit during winter or what. So mo na siya nga nag-start na nga ang basketball kay ma-play ay daghan ng other countries nga ni-adapt pud ba nga sa hockey arenas mag-play sila og kuan basketball. So next is in 1946, competition arose for the NBL. The NBL's popularity was slightly greater than the new BAA, but the BAA was quickly on the rise while hosting major basketball games. So mo na ni siya kung gingon ninyo nga mas niangat ang bisan og masikat ang NBL, murag ni apas niya ang Basketball Associations of America. So now, let us proceed to the year 1946 to 1949. In these years, both leagues, the NBL and the BAA, competed intensely to be the top basketball league in America. So each team wanted to prove that they are the best basketball league in America. But that was until August 1949, wherein leaders of both leagues met at the Empire State Building, and the two groups agreed to merge from one league to the other, which became the NBA, or the National Basketball Association. So, the only problem with this merger is the statistical data do not carry over from one league to another. Even the records had been shattered then, it is still nice to have some history of the guys who started the game we are now enjoying today. And for the last year I have here is in the year 1989, FIBA opened the door to Olympic participation by professionals such as players from the NBA in the United States. So I think that would be all for the history of basketball. And if ever na pa may questions, just ask me right after this video and I will surely answer that with everything I know. Thank you for listening.